Okay, so just to warn everybody, it was, yes, I admit it, it was me that bust YouTube. I was the one, I was the one that caused it to crash. What time was that? That was about noon, wasn't it? About noon.
For me, yeah, roughly noon. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know exactly what it was. It was as I was trying to send the invite to you.
Yes.
I type in your email address and it comes up with a picture, little thumbnail, and that didn't happen. But I kept sending it and kept sending it, and then it just crashed altogether. And and then you were telling me try this, try that, to try that. I had in action.
Then I saw that the hashtag YouTube is down was trending on Twitter. I was like, oh, okay, well, there you go.
But yeah, I'll never live that one down, will I? Because the best of it was that, of course, by having set it up earlier, people were able to comment. There were 3 or 4 comments already on there, and when I wanted to try and say, "I'm really sorry, it's crashed. I can't do anything about this," it was like I kept typing in the message, and it kept coming up error whenever I sent it. So
yeah. And then about an hour, maybe, I don't know, about maybe 45 minutes to an hour after that, I was able to make a comment. And so I made like 2 comments and everything. But then I still went to go check YouTube Creator Studio and nothing. It still wasn't working. Right. It wasn't until about 4 or 5 hours later that it was finally working again. So it was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. Tell me, are there other ways of doing videos other than YouTube?
There's other platforms where where you can showcase your videos, which will bring us to something I did here recently, is that I started a Patreon account. Some people who are familiar with like Laura or Perplexed QT, she has one. Those of you who have been following Allie and Linda and all them, and Paul, or as you may know, his channel, Reporting Live from My Sofa.
Yeah,
he has a Patreon account, and it's something that a lot of YouTubers are doing because there's this kind of instability with YouTube and the way they arbitrarily demonetize things and make it hard, so people, a lot of YouTubers have gone this way to go ahead and give their fans a way to support them without having 30% of it going to YouTube, as it does with like Super Chat and that sort of thing. It gives fans, or patrons a more direct way to support the YouTubers or the creators that they love the most. So that's what it's designed to do. Obviously, because YouTube can sometimes just be a little unstable,
as we discovered. and I keep getting this message.
Hey, but at least I can. I will say this: after Mammothon, now I can honestly say that that Pink Floyd is on the payroll, because they are getting they claimed half the monetization rights for one of the videos where Brandon Maddox played "Wish You Were Here,"
right?
And because Brandon played that song, Pink Floyd ended up filing a copyright thing, and so they're getting half of the whatever ad revenue from that video. It's so funny. It's hilarious, dude. It's really hilarious. Well, but I love it because I get to say Pink Floyd's on the payroll.
Oh, well, every cloud. But I keep getting adverts come up for having the YouTube Premium, I believe it's called, and they want people to subscribe to YouTube and to pay a premium. Right. I think it's is it something like, I don't know, $10-15 a month that they want you to pay per month.
I think, and then you get ad free. You get ad free.
You get ad free. So that's the incentive, is you get ad free. So the incentive you were saying with the Patreon is the fact that
I don't know. Actually, I'm not. See, I literally literally have just only set it up last weekend.
Right.
Didn't do anything with it all week. Then this weekend I decided to go ahead and what I did was linked 2 videos from my YouTube channel into Patreon.
Right.
And now there's 2 videos there. One is the remake I did of the cabinet video recently about Colburn.
Yep.
So that one's there. And then I did the one I just did yesterday about the control question, where I also added in those statistics from that recent paper about Brendan that was written by the Wisconsin law professor and the speech language pathologist. So I threw in some of the stats that they showed there about how, illustrating how Brendan was overwhelmed by the verbiage, essentially. So I threw some of that in. And anyway, and so I uploaded that one there. And basically what I did was take a link from YouTube and dropped it into Patreon. So what I still have to learn is when I go live, if I'm going to be going live and having it be on both, I got to figure out how that's going to work. There may be something I need to set up to make that work. I'm still learning it. It's basically, where I'm at. So anyway.
Right. Okay.
But hopefully you and I will be getting to create some unique content. Perhaps when we get back into, squabbling about Captain Crunch again, we'll maybe have the Captain Crunch be, prior special content, and it'll be like available, say, 3 days earlier on Patreon than it will be for, publicly or something like that, where you and I can create special content like that. And, just to give people an incentive to want to, go over and be a patron and have access to that, fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But I believe also that the rally coming up, there will be some pretty unique opportunities to take footage, a bit like your Australia tour, where you were able to then, over the course of the next few weeks,
I still have footage from Australia that I haven't uploaded, so that's actually another kind of maybe possible idea there. I have footage from the final 3 days, I think, that I still could use.
I was going to say, is that stuff that you're waiting on? If the bribe money doesn't come, then you'll release it.
I just get busy. I forget about things. I feel so terrible. There's things that people message me and ask me about, and I go, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. And so I'll say, hey, yeah, we'll have to think about that. And then I'll be like 2 months later going, oh my God, like whatever happened? I forget, because I'll totally forget that I was talking to somebody because I get off on so many different things that I feel terrible when I remember it later and go, oh my God, oh shoot. Oh my God. Anyway, it's so hectic. You know what I mean? If I did this full time, it would probably be a little easier, but it is what it is.
Now, I was going to see if I can bring up the live chat so that we can at least try and respond to any questions that anybody has.
What is the patron level? I don't know what my patron level is, Ziggy. Literally just started it last weekend. Just put 2 videos on it today or yesterday, and I don't understand it well enough yet. I literally, it's just so new to me. I just don't understand it well enough.
Let me see if I can do this. I can do that. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And click on that one. And hey, presto. Yes, got it.
Got it there.
Yeah, beauty.
Right.
Yeah. Hey.
See, you get there in the end, Capaldi.
Even I can learn things, new things.
You're not so mad after all.
Thank you. Now, let's see what order to do this in. You got the clip of the Ben Stokes catch.
Yes, I watched that. That was pretty cool.
That was Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes divides opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'll explain. Obviously, in that match against South Africa, he was basically Superman. He he was the highest scorer in the match. He scored 89 runs, which
Wow.
helped set up victory. He didn't just do that brilliant catch. He also effected a really good run out. You know, he got the ball in, fielded the ball so quickly that the batsman was out as a result of his fielding. And then he also bowled and took 2 wickets bowling. So he was absolutely superb in that game. And he's been quiet for about a year, nearly a year. He's actually been sort of quiet and hardly done a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And what happened was that about a year ago, or this was about a year ago, he was involved in he went to a bar in Bristol with a few other people and got involved in a fight, and was actually facing prison time because of the fight. You know, somebody got injured. And of course, some people would say, you know, well, that should be him. He should, you know, shouldn't play for England again. You know, you should just chuck him out. You know.
Yeah.
But he made a mistake. Obviously, one of the problems was the journalists got hold of the story, sensationalized it as much as they possibly could, so that. Yes, Fen, we're talking about football so that you'll and cricket so that you'll fall asleep. And this is for the blokes to discuss, isn't it? No, not really. I'm only kidding. So anyway,
Sports ball. I love that she said sports ball.
Sports ball, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he divides opinions because, as I say, for about a year he was so quiet. You know, didn't do anything. Because of the fact that he realised that he'd let himself down by his, you know, sort of public appearance. Yeah, good pals with Dave Warner. Yeah, Dave Warner. I mean, he's an interesting character. He's the Australian. You know, whereas Ben Stokes did something wrong, but he's liked by the rest of his teammates. Dave Warner was the instigator of the ball tampering, and he's not even liked by the rest of his own players in his own team. You know, it's his best pal at the moment seems to be Johnny Bairstow, the England batsman. They played together in an Indian Premier League team, you see, and they got on fine. Maybe these guys they calm down after a while. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, as I say, that Ben Stokes he divides opinions. As do other people that we know. We know of other people that divide opinion, don't we?
Sure.
Well, Mr. Avery. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Go Bat for You. Remember we discussed discussed that a while back. What does that actually mean? What do they mean when they? I mean, to me, I'll just say it. To me, it seems like they are fully aware of the fact that despite that with whatever so-called evidence they have have the ability, whether they should or not, but they have the capability of making it look good for a defendant or bad for a defendant. And you've either got to go be on their side, in which case they'll make you look good, despite what the evidence says.
Right.
And we've seen cases, haven't we? I really want you to watch that serial with the character Jay Wilde.
I've tried to a few times. It's hard to find it where I can get it, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you know, you've got the one defendant, Jay Wilde, who was basically led off with supposedly helping Adnan Syed bury the body,
right,
and he's led off completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know basically a little bit about that case. Kind of, I heard a rough, brief kind of synopsis of it, I think, once. I am intrigued to hear more about it, but it's just
so many things to keep up with.
Particularly right now at this point in time, with being contacted by, you know, the people close to Michael Funk, with my interest in Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, of course. And then there's the recent paper for Brendan that came out. We all know Judge Suk is going to most likely have this travesty or whatever you're going to call it when she's going to be putting that out. That's going to probably be coming out pretty soon. So, and then I have my Scott Davis and all these other things that I kind of have on my plate. And it's like the thought of looking at one more sometimes and trying to get into one more, or it's, I mean, it feels like, it sometimes feels like I'm about to tie a 50-pound weight to me and jump into the deep end. You know what I mean? That's what it almost feels like sometimes when it comes to like looking at a new one. Because I'm passionate about all the ones that I've taken on, but I know I could be passionate about many others. But if I spread myself too thin, I'll be ineffective and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so there's always that to consider.
Sure.
But I am intrigued by that one. I do want to check it out.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on that comment? We're going back for you. It
means that if
really appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I recognize it as what it means. It means that they would go to the district attorneys. They would do whatever they could to help Brendan and everything, and make sure that he didn't get to make sure that he didn't get rolled over on by Steven. And that's the whole incentive there, is that they're trying to say, look, Brendan, you'll end up going only for a little while, but you gotta tell us the truth, right? And yeah, and then you testify against your Uncle Stephen. Well, the moment he starts recanting, that goes away. So what they meant, I know what they mean by okay, yeah, if you do what we want you to do and roll over on Uncle Stephen, then you'll do a lot less time and blah blah blah, and we'll go to bat for you and make sure that you do a lot less time and you're only in there for whatever 20 years, I think is the number of years that got thrown around, right, for the plea. Right. Anyway, so I mean, that's what I recognize it as. But I mean, Brendan's not an adult, number one.
Yep. He
is a 16-year-old kid, and as we learned recently, he was actually diagnosed in high school. He was diagnosed to have a speech language impairment, and that it was missed. That like nobody looked and realized this. It was right in his school records, though. But nobody noticed this. Nobody ever, none of his lawyers. This is why I say Brendan was so utterly failed by the justice system at every turn. When it's pulling him over on November 6th with his brother in Crivets, up in Marinette or whatever, Crivets, when he's getting pulled over there, when he's getting pulled out of class in March, when he's being represented by a lawyer who's actually a relative of the Hallbox, who waives his right to a preliminary hearing, and then incoming Len Kaczynski, who basically never even talks to his client and tells the media that he's guilty, and then brings in an investigator. I mean, how many times and at every freaking turn was this kid failed by the justice system, topping it all off with the fact that he did have a language of impairment and all that, and it was ignored and missed by all these lawyers. It's just like, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, you use the word failed. I would say that it was certainly no accident that all of these things happened.
Right.
This wasn't an accident. This wasn't things that simply went wrong. Unfortunately, this was so obviously a case of we need to do something, because we need something more against Stephen Avery than than this planted evidence, which even they knew looked very suspicious. We now know that the opposite of go back for you, because they didn't go and back for him, obviously. Yes,
once he recanted, that was pretty much off the table, right?
Yeah, we can see the opposite of going to bat for him when Edelstein points out, all this evidence that the state brought into Brendan's trial, and he says to Mark Wiegert, and basically, how much DNA of, what trace of Brendan did you find on any of these items? Not a single item. Yes or no? And he then says, I'll let you finish the sentence. What does Mark Wiegert say?
Well, they had 5 days to clean up. Yeah.
Is that appropriate?
I don't think it is, honestly. That's his opinion. That's all that is, really.
Yeah.
But this is the defense questioning him, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So
was there a follow-up question?
That's the question, isn't it? So I was trying to get onto the transcript for the Brendan Dassey trial, and of course it runs to 1,800 pages, and you know what I'm like with stuff on the internet and it crashing. I've got a great record of that. I kept getting to page 510, no matter whether it was on my computer, my phone, my iPad, my wife's iPad. It just get page 510 and then it just crashes. It just stops. So I thought, right, okay, I'll ask Tracy Keogh, and she came back with the exact page.
Right.
There was no comeback.
Yeah.
And yet you would have thought there would have been an obvious question that Edelstein could have put to Wiegert there and then, and that question would have been, well, what would you have asked?
Cleanup.
Exactly. What evidence?
Yeah.
Did they
do you have to support that you just said to the jury?
Mm-hmm.
What evidence do you have to support that? That's what I mean. Or an objection, at least. An objection, judge. Objection. He's not qualified to offer that opinion or whatever, right? Whatever the objection should be, but most likely that should have been objected to, because he's clearly offering it. He's trying to offer a qualifying opinion because he feels that the attorney has just created a significant amount of question around his testimony, right?
Exactly.
So obviously that's what that is, and it's like, yeah, okay, come on. I either there should have been an objection or a follow-up question. I agree.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's failed by his counsel, even Fremgen and all them, even them. I mean, not allowing the jury to hear the end where Brendan recants when his mom comes in and he recants and says they got to my head. I mean, how? What? I'm left wondering one of two things. Did you listen to that and think the jury didn't need to hear it? Or did you not listen to the entire confession? That's the two things I'm left with on Brendan's lawyer, ultimately. So at trial, that I'm just scratching my head out going, what the hell? But anyway, sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. You touched on exactly what I was going to say. The fact that Mark Wiegert was up there, he was embarrassed by the fact that Edelstein was able to point out, you have nothing to tie Brendan in whatsoever. But then, but then to come out with something as crass as they had 5 days to clear up.
Yeah.
But that's bad, and I think, is it not a case of, rather than an objection, it would be a case of, I want that struck from the record because he's not qualified for that. I think objection, is it not from the other side when there's, when, for example, if Kratz was asking Wiegert and he just said that, then Edelstein or Fremgen could have said objection. But because it's you that's actually questioning them, you say, I move to have that struck from the record. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
that's how it works. I'm not a lawyer, but I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, it was just a ridiculous statement, And of course, we did have a bit of a chat last night, and we both agreed that, that why wasn't there any investigation into any kind of clear up? If he's saying they had 5 days to clear up, well, did you not send experts in to look to see if there'd been any of this kind of clear up? Well, of course, they torn the place upside down, but they hadn't actually gone in and luminoled the place, had they? Like they did the garage.
Right.
Because they didn't want both places to come up negative for luminol, did they?
Right. Yeah, I agree, right? Just stopping short of going down certain roads just because they didn't want to hem themselves in. It's just like not looking into the person who was harassing Teresa.
Yeah.
Not looking into whoever it was doing that. That is, for me, a deliberate decision on their part to not even take one step down that road because they were afraid that they would quickly turn up something that would completely blow their case against Avery. That's what I honestly feel was going on.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
And there's other. And there's just lots of places in the case where you can look and see things where they're ignoring avenues of for instance, what the hell was going on in the quarry? The prosecution has no accounting for that. I mean, how can you not have an accounting for that? That's just bizarre. Anyway. You have no crime scene, and then you got all these dogs jumping out of Avery Salvage and keep going over to the quarry. Okay.
Yes.
Hello? Something going on? I mean, what's going on in the quarry? Right? And so, anyway. But they're so desperate to pin it on Avery, they just say, okay, that stuff didn't happen. That's just pretend that's just not there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And was that their own volition, or were they directed to do that? Unfortunately, as we know, Pete Bates passed away. Was it last weekend? And he only makes 2 appearances in Making a Murderer, sadly. Right. And in one of them, he actually points out that it's Ken Kratz that is directing operations. He's the one tells them where to go and look and what to look for.
Yeah.
And obviously
Steve Moore said the same thing when he was on my channel.
Yes.
He said, where do you think Fassbender and Wiegert were getting their orders from? Who do you think was telling them what to do?
Yeah.
He's like, Kratz.
Yeah.
So.
And where was he getting his orders from?
Well, that could be Attorney General or Assistant Attorney General Fallon.
Yep.
Maybe even others. Hey, right before Ken Kratz got disgraced with all the sexting scandal and all that stuff, he was just about to make a bid for Congress, United States Congress, not Wisconsin Senate or whatever, but United States Congress. He was about to make a bid. That's shudder to think, but then again, politicians seem to prove themselves to be more about themselves. So I guess Ken Kratz fits that mold pretty well.
Yeah. I must admit, I also tend to have a fairly cynical view of politicians. It is interesting, isn't it, how many of them start off in the legal profession and then gradually rise through until they are involved in politics. And you do wonder about a lot of them, whether they're in it for the good of the people they represent, or whether they're in it for their own self-interest.
I agree.
It's a tricky one there, Ken Kratz is particularly vile. It's not just his handling of this case; it's his handling of other cases. It's how he conducts himself in private. Now, some people say, well, what he does in private, that's up to him. But when his sort of public job and his private life when they become intertwined the way they did with his sexting, then that becomes a big problem, doesn't it?
Should.
You know,
But you saw the way. I mean, if you look at what happened with the OLR and stuff, he managed to browbeat them down to where it was essentially no penalty.
yeah,
You know? And it's just like it's just astonishing to watch. And the OLR just eventually just gives in to all the things. It's bizarre to watch. It's like, okay, well, on my channel I have uploaded the time where the press conference where the guy that had found out about the sexting scandal starts to question Ken Kratz about it. And all of the methods that you see Ken Kratz using, spinning and putting and throwing back at this kid who's a young man who was throwing these questions at him, and Ken Kratz was doing all this, pulling every dirty trick out of his, wazoo that he could to trip this kid up, make this kid believe that he was wrong and that what he was doing was that he was a sucker for blah 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 and all these things, and I mean he's employing all these tactics to mess with this guy's head and all that. And I mean, it's just bizarre to watch. It's crazy, but yeah, that's Ken Kratz.
Yeah. The lad you're on about, his first name is Ryan, isn't it?
I believe so, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yeah, I mean, totally. That's Ken Kratz, and same way he acts in that interview is the same way he acted with the OLR.
Yeah.
And eventually, the OLR just gave in, acquiesced, and just like whatever. Gave him a little slap on the wrist, and that's it. It was over. He didn't even have to pay all the money that they wanted him to pay. He ended up arguing that and got that down to where it was almost nothing. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I've got one more question to ask you. A sort of opinion to get.
By the way, hey Mark. How you doing, buddy, out there?
I was going to say, where is he? I sent him the link. He's in
the live chat. He
is in the live chat. I see that. I sent him two invites, but anyway, he'd rather sit back and listen to us rabbiting on and join in. Or maybe he's got something else on the go over there in Transylvania.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to go get in his coffin for the night. I don't know. Hey.
We'll be catching up with him soon anyway.
I hear sharks don't like vampires though, so
I know.
I have to figure out which one he is.
Yeah.
Because if it's a vampire, it can't be shark bait. I don't think sharks like vampires.
No, I think that's how he gets to swim with them, no problem whatsoever. They wouldn't dare touch him.
Yeah.
It'd take a big chunk out of them.
Well, the way sharks hunt, that doesn't exactly guarantee him safety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they just look up where they see the light, and then they see a dark shadow crossing, and they spear at it, and so sometimes they'll hit a seal, sometimes a surfer, so.
In actual fact, the way that the way that vampires are, they are able to transform instantly into anything else. So probably when he goes swimming with sharks, he just changes into the biggest shark on the barrier reef, doesn't he? I
didn't know they could change into anything. I knew they could change into bats.
Yeah, they can transform into anything.
Well, you guys must have different myths and legends over there.
What do you mean myths and legends?
I know they can only change into bats. That's the way that they teach us the fables over here. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I wanted to crack on with the. I saw a tweet by Governor Evers, yeah, and it was to do with the fact it was something along the lines of educating and helping teenagers in education and then progressing on to work. And I put that they over there in Manitowoc they have a great system. They They wrongfully convict teenagers, lock them up until they've passed their high school diploma. And I put that, well, but he's done 13 years. Brendan's got his high school diploma. Why didn't you let him out now? And I had a woman got in touch with me, I presume a woman from Wisconsin, on Twitter, to say that you do realize that a 2-bit documentary is not evidence. And here in the US, that doesn't work, or words to that effect,
I had one today saying that the documentary was fictional. So,
well,
yeah. So they're always right along the same lines. So
yeah, I have a certain sympathy with some of those in Wisconsin who were, they were aware of Stephen Avery for a long time back. Being found guilty of the attack on Penny, sentenced to 32 years, and then gets exonerated on this newfound thing, this new thing called DNA evidence. And I know that there are some people who would say we're not sure about that. We had our person who the state had found guilty. You're saying he's innocent and we're letting him out, but they don't quite get the fact that to them it seems as if, well, he's getting out on a technicality. Then he's suing for 36 million. I also have a certain sympathy for some of those in Wisconsin who basically, because of the quality of the journalism, were not given a balanced approach, a balanced view of it. I think John Farrak touched on it quite a bit, hasn't he? That the appalling journalism around at the time of Teresa Halbach's disappearance. Do you have a certain sympathy for these people over there in Manitowoc and Wisconsin in general?
I have a certain sympathy because, yes, for the general population, I do, because, well, like this person today who said,
yeah,
the documentary is fictional. This person could not argue anything. This person said that we support a rapist and a killer and a this and a that and a whatever. So before I got to any of the other laundry list of kind of unprovable things that they said, I just started with the rape thing and just said, okay, prove to me there was a rape, first of all. Do that, and we can talk. The next thing I got was something about, again, the documentary is fictional and something idiot, idiot Avery fan or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, wow, hey, what do you know? The name calling has started. What a shock. Not, what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was just, but that's what they do. They get back to the same things. They have the same old little bag of tricks. The cat. The documentary is one-sided or it's or you were duped by a documentary or blah blah blah, whatever the document. All their arguments come back to that same stuff, right?
Yeah.
The fact that and then they say he's a rapist, even though he was exonerated for rape, and they can't really prove he raped Teresa. There's no evidence of that. He was actually found innocent of mutilating the corpse, right? So, there's all those things. It's just bizarre. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this the point I would sort of stress to this person, or any of the guilters out there, is that I get it. I get the fact that making a murderer made Manitowoc look bad. I get that. Even Charlie Bowens, he when I asked for his opinion, he basically said, look, making a murderer, yeah, it makes Wisconsin look bad. Even he said, it's clear that Brendan had absolutely nothing to do with anything,
I got the feeling he feels that way.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's afraid to weigh in because
exactly
he's trying to build a comedy channel and that sort of thing. So he doesn't want to polarized by
Yes.
jumping on to something like that. So I get it. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like Charlie, and I know he cares about kids and stuff because I've seen some of the things that he does when he does his charitable little things and stuff. And,
Absolutely.
often it's going to the children's hospital and things like that. So,
Yeah.
my hat's off to Charlie.
Yeah.
It'd be great because I know he cares about kids and stuff to have him be part of the one of the voices for Brendan.
Yeah.
But, hey, maybe one day he'll be feeling it and he'll just decide, you know what, it's time to speak up. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. But what I would say is that certainly when Making a Murder first came out, I'm sure that there were some people over there that thought, well, just let it die down. Just let it run its course. It'll be a 15-minute sort of blowover, and then it'll all be forgotten. And
the people who were fearful after it came out,
yeah,
who felt maybe a little exposed, possibly, yeah, I could see them telling themselves that,
And it simply hasn't. We've had Series 2, and people have asked me, will there be a Series 3? And I don't know this for a fact. Nobody knows this for a fact. But
they haven't said yet.
What do you think Netflix are thinking? We've had a really successful season 1. We've had a really successful season 2. Do you know what? We'll just knock it on there. I think we've had enough of this. Do you think they're going to do that?
Maybe it depends what happens with Colburn.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody's making any decisions yet until it's resolved with Colburn, right? Once they know that they can safely defeat any of these challenges from any of these people, then they'll be probably more willing to, season 3, it's a go, But maybe right now they're just holding back and waiting and seeing what goes down with the Colburn lawsuit before they commit to anything.
I think the Colburn lawsuit was just an act of trying to deflect interest for a little bit. I don't think it's got any legs, any merit. I'd be very surprised. But no, the documentary has caused people to look at this in a very serious light. It's caused Kathleen Zellner to look at this, and this idea that she's somehow in it for the fame and the money and the glory. She already had all that, didn't she? This case,
a lot of that, yeah.
Sorry to go harking on about this, but it's like Mark always says. If Stephen Avery is this guilty person that they say that he is,
right?
Why not hand over all this evidence to Kathleen Zellner? Kathleen Zellner has said that it would be only a fool would hire her
if they were guilty. Right.
If they were guilty, and she will prove via the evidence if that person is guilty. If Stephen Avery is this such a guilty person, we could draw a line in the sand. We could draw a line under it. We could get rid of Making a Murderer forever by simply handing over the evidence, letting Kathleen Zellner develop it, and prove what a nasty person Stephen Avery is.
Mm-hmm.
They handed over, 7 items?
They
handed over a key.
Right.
And what did we find about that? 20 times more DNA on it than there should have been.
Should be. Right.
Yeah. They handed over a bullet. What was found embedded in the bullet? Bone? Oh, yeah, no. No, hold on a second.
Bits of paint and wood, right?
Yeah.
Prompting your question, was Teresa made of wood, right?
Exactly. And then obviously we know that the swab was handed over, but that had 90 times more DNA on it than should have done.
The whole thing with the hood latch is just beyond. That's beyond. Yeah.
So my simple question would be, why don't the state hand over all the other evidence that they've got that Kathleen Zellner has asked for? In particular, the car and the damaged headlight.
Yep.
And the bones.
Yeah.
Have they still got the bones?
Particularly like the skull fragments.
Yeah. Have they still got the bones? I don't know.
I think that, well, they do, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to still have the skull fragments, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Fallon was telling her that she could test a lot of things that it turns out are now not around. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, I guess.
I mean, as far as I know, it's not up to them to decide whether this stuff gets tested. And here's the crux of it: Kathleen Zellner is the one that's willing to pay for all this testing. It would, if the state truly believed that Stephen Avery is guilty, and if he is guilty, Kathleen Zellner will prove him guilty, and she'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So what's stopping them? What have they got to hide? Why are they so afraid of having the opportunity to show the entire world just how guilty this Stephen Avery is?
Right. I mean,
she
represented Larry Eiler, but when she realized that he was a monster,
yeah,
and was every bit the criminal that needed to be where he was, she didn't help him get out.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up getting him to talk to her.
Yeah.
And so that she was able to bring closure for a lot of the families of his victims. So that's Zellner's morality. That's Zellner's, legacy. That's the type of thing she's going to be leaving with the world, and that's it's admirable, because that guy was a monster. She could have continued seeking just glory for its own sake, and they might have found a way to get a loophole that could have got him out of there. And she even said as much at the time.
Yeah.
But she said no. She's like, I could not get on board with getting people out just because we could.
Yes.
I wanted to. For me, it was necessary that I believe that they are innocent. And I did not believe that Larry Eiler was innocent.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's and so that is an indicator of what she will do when she reaches a point where she feels that her client's innocent. Or, I mean, her client's guilty. She may not go into court going, he's guilty, but she's not going to go into court arguing very hard or very strongly for you. She's going to and she's going to look to do what she can to help you bring closure for what you did. That's what her track record shows.
Yeah, I mean that was the only time that she ever represented somebody that was guilty. Every other person she's dropped, and she drops people quite regularly. I believe there was somebody just last year on a serious assault charge who had asked for her help, and she's dropped him and said no. I'm not representing you, which is a clear indication that the guy's guilty.
Possibly, or there's another conflict, maybe, but
because she said all along, don't hire me if you're guilty, because I will find out.
It could be that. Could be. Yeah. Could be that.
Anyway, finally, and I know this doesn't happen very often. Credit to the dude. We had a discussion about this a long time back, and you said that Deontay Wilder would easily beat AJ. Well, at the moment, we're not even sure if they're ever going to get in the ring together, because guess what? Saturday night in New York, Mexico had its very first heavyweight world champion.
Yeah.
And he actually stopped Anthony Joshua. So
they used to have the lightweight champion, Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yep. Oh no, the Mexicans are well known in the lighter divisions, but in the heavyweight, I never knew that they'd never had a heavyweight world champion from Mexico. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen some of the clips of the contest. Anthony Joshua, who is the world champion of you know how you get these different organizations within boxing, don't you? You know, you've got four versions of the world title, you know.
Right.
So if Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder do get it on together, then it would be for a unification of the world titles. Obviously, Anthony Joshua has immediately said that, you know, there's always this clause, isn't there, for a rematch. So he wants a rematch because he actually had Ruiz down in the third round. The guy recovered, and then they got involved in a bit of a brawl. You know, rather than boxing, it was just a slugfest, and that's when Anthony Joshua got tagged and never truly recovered from that. But you know, credit where credit's due. You say Deontay Wilder would beat Anthony Joshua. I think at the moment the facts would suggest yes, he probably would. And it's not often. It's not often. I agree.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Not often, you know. Also, something very, very interesting. Two of the baseball teams. You know how we have every year we have some of the American football games played here in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Wembley and Twickenham. They're bringing baseball to London as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something like the Red Sox and one of the New York teams.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Closest to you.
Sorry,
they're the closest to you.
True.
Makes sense. So
yeah. Also, they're the biggest names, aren't they? You know.
They're two of the oldest teams. Two of the oldest franchises, have a lot of history. Yeah, that's all true as well.
Well, I believe that the Red Sox are the world champions.
Yes.
Yeah. Did they beat? Who did they beat in the
Dodgers?
final?
Jerk.
Sorry?
The Dodgers. The Dodgers.
Is that the Detroit Dodgers?
No. The Crunch Island Dodgers.
Oh, that was some series. That was. Remember that one game? Was it like a 2-1 win in the end after about 18?
Oh yeah,
18 innings.
That series just killed me. They pulled that pitcher out who was, oh my God, I just wanted to kill myself on that one, man. It was painful to watch that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How's your team doing this year?
I don't know. I can't even bring myself to follow them after last year.
Oh dear. Sorry, have I touched on a raw nerve there?
You know, they're still in my Twitter feed. I'm still kind of following, but yeah. I'm so pissed off at the decision making in the playoffs.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, just the piss poor decision making on the pitching that essentially cost us the World Series, and it's just like,
yeah. So I think we'll have to start following the Aussie rules football because I saw a game the other day and it was.
I'm good with following the ladies.
Yes, yeah. We like watching the ladies. I actually watched a female college baseball last night. It was on telly, and that was quite interesting because
softball, right?
Sorry,
softball.
Yes, but the actual pitcher, they instead of throwing it overarm, they do this really weird thing whereby they get a lot of speed up, but it's like an underarm. And I was trying to figure out how they did it. Yeah. So how do you mean softball? You mean it's
the ball, type of ball. It's a little bit bigger than a regular baseball, and I mean it's not soft. It's not like a sponge or anything like that. No. But it's just got a little more cushion or whatever. It's just a little bit kind of softer than a regular hard ball.
Right. And is it like a tennis ball? Therefore, has it got air in it?
It's just like it's laced up. It has rawhide, just like a baseball, but it's bigger. Right. Like I said, it's about the size of a grapefruit.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just I think whatever's put inside, they make the hour to later is just a little bit softer than what would normally be in a hard ball. Right. And so there's just it's just a tiny bit. It's not like really super soft. When you pick up a softball, it feels hard. It
Right.
feels, it doesn't feel like soft or anything. So, but
Right.
they call it a softball because I guess it's engineered to be just a little softer.
Yeah. So a little bit bigger makes it just that little bit easier to hit, I suppose.
I suppose
To
there's that
to
aspect
see
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was certainly a batsman for it was Oklahoma versus Alabama, and the Alabama team had on their tops just Bama, Bama,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the batsmen, she had 41 times consecutively come to bat and made it to first base.
Right
You
on.
know, that's
It's a good on base
pretty
percentage.
that is pretty impressive, isn't it? Eh?
Good on base percentage. Yeah.
Is that 100%?
For those 47 at bats, yeah, it'd be your on base percentage would be 1,000.
All right.
So
Right. And then obviously if that then results in one of your
but if you
teammates.
actually have like 56 at bats, then you would see the 42 would be of 56, and
Right, yeah.
that would figure in. So anyway, but
Yeah. 42 bats previously, she didn't make it to
42
first base.
straight. She was had a 1,000 on base percentage.
Yeah. That's good going. Anyway, listen, pal. It is nearly midnight over there
Yeah,
on Crunch Island.
quit neglecting your pupils, dude. See you later.
Yes, I know. I wanted to finally just to clear up with what we started off with. How do people go onto this Patreon?
If you go to my site, it's Patreon at Patreon /Erekose MAM. Let me see if I can put a link for you guys.
That would be handy.
All right, so that would be the link. You can go to that page, and if you want to become a patron, you can. You can click the button to become a patron, and you can decide if you want to be a patron or not. I love you all the same. Doesn't matter what you choose, what you decide. So, but it's there. That's what it is. I just know a lot of YouTubers are, using both. So I figured I should probably do the same. And there is apparently a lot of Patreon exclusive users out there. So there is actually kind of a potentially new pool of people that I might be able to get their attention and following me. So, there's that aspect of it as well.
So I'm still, because I'm obviously not so high tech savvy as you. I'm still a bit puzzled as to how. So do you actually get like an app for your phone or for your computer?
There's a Patreon app. Yes.
Right.
The Patreon webpage is what I just put the link for there. That's the Patreon webpage. I imagine if you clicked on that from your phone, it would probably redirect you to your app store to get the app, most likely.
Yeah.
But that's Patreon, like I said, and then that's going to take you to that link is going to take you directly to my Patreon page. And like I said, if you want to become a patron of mine, you can, and you click on the thing to become a patron and pledge. I think it's $5 a month is what it is. I honestly wish I could make it lower. I'd like it to be more like $2 a month or something. But if for those who are interested, like I said, it's just something I'm trying out because so many YouTubers are doing it because they're getting messed with, and so I figured I better check it out.
Yeah, I mean, you've actually, I don't want to go all through all of the figures, but you've actually pointed out to me that sometimes you'll do a video and you've got a little clip of something in it, and whatever people have given you by means of this super chat, they've bought you a beer, and YouTube have claimed it for themselves.
Not claimed it, but YouTube claims 30% of all.
Well, yeah. 30%.
So yeah, so that's the other thing here too is that if you're looking for a way to to support me, but you don't want to give 30% of your money to YouTube, then you can
Yes.
go to Patreon and you can support me on Patreon and know that a very large percentage of that money is going to me. And
Yeah.
then a much smaller percentage is going to Patreon.
Yeah.
Much smaller than 30%.
Yeah. Is there a sense that YouTube is this big, all-powerful monster, more or less, and
Well, they kind of are.
it's actually healthy to have challenges to that, other means of
Yeah, other things that make
video
them
makers.
realize they aren't the only game in town. They could quickly maybe find themselves being eclipsed if they were to be careless.
Yeah.
At least
And,
that's possible suggestions anyway.
and then when the marketplace becomes more competitive, who benefits? The consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was that.
Oh, Ziggy, it's Julie Pom Pom was my first patron, and she said it was $5 a month was the minimum. I'm looking for a way to try to get that lower. I'd like it to be like $2 personally, or one even. So I'm going to be looking to see if I can get it any lower than 5, but it looks like right now it's at 5. That's 5 per month, so it's not like 5 a week or 5 a day. It's 5 per month. So anyway.
And you sort of take out a subscription, and that's you done then. So
And that gives you access to all the content that I basically upload, essentially. So
yeah.
or all the content that I put on Patreon. And like I said, what I'm putting on Patreon right now is available on YouTube, but that's why I'll be doing special things when I travel and do things like that. I might upload those things and have them available on Patreon before, so that they're available on Patreon, say 3 days sooner, so that the people who are patrons can feel there's some value in their money for being a patron. So I'm thinking about things like that. But ultimately, it will all eventually be available to everybody. Ultimately, in the end, everything that I'm putting out, I obviously want everybody to be able to see. I'm not trying to hold anything back. So,
Well, it all sounds good. All sounds good. And as I say, it's particularly concerning, as I say, when when YouTube are taking so much for themselves. I think there's I think that's a bit greedy, to tell you the truth.
well, they do create the platform. I mean, where everybody gets together and is able to have these cool conversations during a live chat. So, I mean, they put a lot of work into creating that ability for that to happen on their platform and stuff. So, I mean, 30% seems pretty darn steep. Yes, absolutely. It seems too much. Seems like it should be more like maybe 15 or 10%, because good grief, the freaking creator's doing a lot of freaking work, while, YouTube, it's not like YouTube is sitting there writing code every time you go live. It's not like they're sitting there writing code so that your live stays live and that people can super chat money to you. It's all been written. It's all there. You know what I mean? It's making them money, because it's already in place, right? So it's not like it's like I said, they're not actively having to employ it or deploy it. It's just it's there. It runs in the background. So it's not like they're having to pay a whole lot of money for it. So taking 30% seems a bit steep, bit much.
Yeah, I mean, the way I understand it is that people can pay the subscription to get the YouTube Premium, and they get it ad free. Otherwise, like me, I get every time one of your videos starts, there's always an ad which I can skip after about the first 8 seconds or so, which is great. But you get that ad come up, and that money that the advertisers pay. When you've got a video which is, as you call it, monetized, it means that you get a little bit of money for each video in order to help your costs, setting up your studio time, etc. And buddy, nobody begrudges you a beer every now and again. And in fact, you see, when we're at Manitrock, I'm going to buy you a beer. And I'm going to buy you a beer, and I'm going to have the Diet Coke. In fact, I'm going to buy you a beer, and I might.
He was a terrible influence on you. God damn it.
It's been a great influence, I tell you.
Mm.
And I might even have a Dr. Pepper. I'll tell you, it's, and so
You
nobody.
know, it's not, you realize that it's not that I don't drink, right? Those, I don't know if you just thought like I didn't drink or whatever. I was, I do drink. I like to drink. It's just in moderation.
Yes.
It's like, and now I think, now I look at it and go, dude, I'm never gonna have a drink of Paul now ever again because Stacy ruined all that. Anyway, so
Hey, listen. I've been to plenty of functions where I've had a great time. I was out Saturday night in Selkirk, had a great time. I'm quite happy to have a few cokes along with other people that are having beer. I mean, I even, as you probably know, I have one or two pupils come to the house. Sometimes I'll put a little something on a topper of their coffee for them.
mhm.
Recently, I've ran out of the basic whiskey, so I've only got the really good stuff like the old Pulteney and stuff like that. So they've had a separate glass of that, and I don't mind them enjoying that at all. It's just that I appreciate the fact that next morning I've got a totally clear head, and I've already lost over a stone. So
Yeah, well, I mean, moderation also works. But anyway, so
yes. I think there will be times. I was speaking with one of my drummers, and
it's like every once in a couple months, 6 months, I'll drink. I mean,
yeah.
that's what it is for me. So
Yeah, we've got a family holiday coming up. I was speaking to the drummer, and he was saying that he doesn't drink at all. When he's not on holiday. But if he goes on holiday, he knows that he's not driving for a week. And then I'll probably partake of a few when I'm in
there you go.
when I'm in the Canary Islands, which is beginning of August. But yeah, before that we've got the rally. And what time do you arrive at Green Bay Airport? Is it Friday morning?
Well, what about when we're at the Budweiser Brewery on Sunday morning? Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I arrive on Friday morning, yes.
Well, what time?
I'll be going to Nina first. I don't know. Early in the morning, 8 or 9.
Wow. So you've got like an overnight flight?
Basically, yeah.
Wow. Of course, you are used to flying and then having a full day ahead of you.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Is that what, a 5-6 hour flight for you?
I think it is. It's like it's 5.5, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And then going down to Nina. And whereabouts is Nina?
It's about 40 minutes west of Manitowoc.
Yes. If you go from Green Bay and you go straight down, it goes Fox Valley. You've got Appleton, and Nina is like almost. It looks like almost like a connection part of Appleton. So it's just below, and it's right on Lake. What's it called? Lake.
Michigan?
No, Winnebago.
Oh, Winnebago. There you go.
Winnebago is sort of, yeah.
All right. We'll have to play Jeopardy with Wisconsin geography sometime. Anyway.
Yes, we are going to get you. We'll get you full up to steam when it comes to the geography, and you can help me with my band website. I've been told by the guy that hosts it, that has been hosting it now for 20 odd years, that he's not going to carry on doing it. So I'd like you to have a look at that for me and see what's needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I've never created a website or anything, but we'll have to see.
No. The website's created. It's what happens with regards to hosting it. This guy is saying he's no longer going to host it. All that happened in the past, he would send me an invoice every year saying in order to keep the website going, this payment needs to be made to this particular entity for 30 quid or whatever, and I just want to know what the score is for when he stops doing that. For then how do I carry on with it?
Okay, all right. We'll have to see. We'll look into it.
Yeah,
I don't know it off the top of my head, so we'll have to figure it out.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're an expert at all these things. You know.
Oh yeah, I know.
Anyway. The good news is that YouTube is back up working again, and it hasn't crashed at all while we've been on. So
Not that we know of. Anyway.
I broke it. I fixed it again.
Yeah, you didn't fix it.
Did I not?
Fix anything while you're sleeping. The Mad Scotsman again, folks.
Right, you're gonna have a good night's sleep, and I'll get on with my next people, who will be here in just over half an hour's time.
There you go. Quit neglecting your pupils, dude. All right.
And then I'm gonna go and watch some cricket on the telly.
Cricket. There you go.
Cricket. Yeah. Australia, they managed to scrape through. They managed to scrape through against Afghanistan.
Yeah. Scrape
South Africa
with their sandpaper.
Oh yes, I like it. Is Mark still there?
I don't see him.
Effing Poms, I bet he's saying. Effing Poms.
Anyways. All right, buddy.
Okay.
I'm tired as hell.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
And thank everybody for tuning in. Would you like to do the end?
Already, everybody, please hit subscribe for Paul, Stacy. Well, Tracy got over 1,000 now, so she's good.
Yep.
But maybe even consider Linda K listening.
Yes.
Get her some subscribers, folks. Anyways, so if you haven't already, please hit subscribe for all of the above, folks. There you go.
Cheers. Catch you later.
Good night.
Bye for now.